a middle-aged man is saying that the woman, his name anyway, Theophilus Ayodeji Obayan, has dragged his estranged wife before a Grade A Customary Court sitting in Oke-Eda Akure, Ondo State, for changing their children's surname to that of her new lover, according to him. His wife packed her belongings to another man's house in 2019 and immediately went to change their names to the name of the man she is currently with as we speak. Now, what are your thoughts? You can join the conversation with the same numbers, 081 07641679 or 090241634440, or you can tweet at us using @TVC Connect and the hashtag YourView on TVC. Now, the woman also responded, saying that this man that took the case to the court was not married to her. Yes, they have, I think, four children. And they are within the range of 22, 20, 18, and 16. And that the man she is now with loves her and is ready to marry her. So the other one did not pay the dowry. And I think she's from the East, as it is. And the culture said that their culture is, if the man did not pay your dowry, the children belongs to the woman and her family. That's what it is. It seems like he did not understand that part. I am wondering why it took him so long not to have paid the dowry, as it is, and now taking the matter to court. These children are old enough to decide who they want to be with. She also complained, the woman in question also complained that the man was a deadbeat father. He wasn't responsible, he wasn't taking care of his responsibilities, and now there's someone else who is willing to take that responsibility. What should she do, or what should happen? Let's get your views, ladies. I'll begin with you.
Okay, so one of the things I'll first say is that culture emboldens. Culture sometimes gives you the lever to do something that you think about it and say, I no try for this matter. But once you hear that, that's how we do in our side, right? For a Yoruba person now, for instance, if you get married to somebody or you don't get married to somebody, get pregnant for the person, they'll say when the child is old enough, the child will look for the father. That's a Yoruba way of thinking. But Igbo tradition is different. It says even if the child belongs to us until you do the right thing. And so, like you said, what would make the man wait at least 22 years before realizing that he was supposed to actually do the needful? Yes, irresponsibility was a major factor that was highlighted on this particular story. But in the end, I say that, women, we try, we have liver, right?
Had the
first, you didn't think that he has not paid your bride price.
You had the second.
Third, fourth, age range, the youngest was 16 years old. And for the children, I say that, when 22, you now want to change your surname. In some homes, a 22-year-old child should be changing her name to her husband's surname at this point. But now you're changing it to another father that came along to take the responsibility of you. For me, this matter, it gets as it be.
It be as it gets.
Go ahead.
Okay, so when I saw this story, before I even finished reading it, I already concluded in my head that this man must be a deadbeat dad for the woman to be making a move to change her children's names. However, I think that move is just purely vindictive. It is not a rational decision.
How so?
Yeah, because you cannot just, it's not because the name has an issue. It's not because there's a curse on the name. It is because you just do not want those children to bear their father's name because you think that you've carried all the responsibility, you've been the one doing mama, papa, became for them, so you deserve all the rights, to own them. But changing their last name... She made
the choice of having children for this man. Let's not forget that.
Let me finish my thoughts. It is important to note that changing their last name would not change their DNA. They are still his children. Because if you're going to show it, God forbid anything happens to them now, and then they're looking for a blood donor or somebody that needs to contribute something to their health, they would have to check the father's side. So imagine if they did not know where they came from.
Maybe do that without their father.
For example, now, if these kids were really young and they changed their names and they did not even know who their father is or what the name is, blah, 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 it would cause a lot of problems for them. So bearing that surname is not just a name. It helps you trace where you are from. Exactly, your history, your heritage. It goes beyond just that name. So I don't see why she should, remove his name just because they have a rift. I think it's just purely vindictive, and it really doesn't make sense. And also, there's a possibility of subjecting those children to an emotional trauma.
Yeah.
Because because the new man's family would never accept these children as their own. Because they would always, tell them that Tani Babala Kubabae Ninu family and all of that. The children would rather, I think, children would rather stay with their father's names. At least they know that, okay, this is our father, even if he's a deadbeat, but this is our father. Do you understand? Unlike being a stranger in another, man's
the children
home.
are complaining. In this case,
it was the father that was
it was the father that complained.
That's what I'm saying, that there's a possibility that they are subjected to that emotional trauma. Because if they take another man's name and that man's family does not take them in, do not really recognize them as legitimate children. I believe the woman would have thought about that. Are you sure she thought about it? I don't think she thought about it.
Before she decided to take the step of changing their name.
Yeah.
We cannot decide that she had not made up. She said the man loves her. This new man loves her. And if he's encouraging, and he's willing to take up the responsibility. So it is not a matter of the children having an acceptance. There is someone who is willing to take care of me and my children.
At 22 and 20 and 18.
But it's not about, you don't have to bear somebody's name for them to take care of you. Do you have to bear somebody's name for them to take care of you?
You don't have to.
You have mentors, you have godmothers.
But she's also perhaps looking at the aspect of culture. He did not pay my dowry. The children belongs to me.
Exactly. Let me leave the floor.
So I have to smile because every show with its own drama and these stories, we ask people to tell us their story, and
they have told their
interesting storytelling experience. So one thing is the names are powerful. Our name is a part of our unique identity. Our name has a profound psychological effect on who we are. And culturally, people that have names they feel does not speak life to them, people legally go to change their names.
Absolutely.
And there are many reasons people have change of names. There are many reasons people decide that this is not the path I want to carry. And many of those reasons sometimes are emotional and largely spiritual. Those are like the two key reasons people change their names. They feel like, the emotion I have when I hear this name, because they say hearing your name gives you an emotional, psychologically, hearing your name being called either gives you an emotional feeling, and it can be a positive or a negative one based on the emotion you had associated with that name. Yeah. So if every time the mother has called that name, the emotional attachment that she has to that name and the children have to that name is a negative one, she can decide that because I want my children to have a clean slate, because God has blessed me with another man who is willing to accept these children for who they are, regardless of their bloodline, I am willing to give these children the benefit of a name that is supported by a father that cares and loves them. And I think it is important because fatherhood is beyond you donating your yourself to that child. Fatherhood involves the fact that you are responsible. A father is a protector, is a provider, is a disciplinarian. If you are not a protector, a provider, a disciplinarian, you're not a father.
You have failed.
You have failed as a father. So why exactly are you trying to claim that child? Why are you holding? Why would a man that has not stood in the role of a father want to claim fatherhood over a child you did not father in any way, apart from
That's the big question.
So for me, the woman might be making an emotional decision, And the children can decide after a few years to say they want to change
Change
it
it
back to
again.
their father's name. So I think that when it comes to this situation, the children, the woman, the father all of them need to ask themselves questions on why are they deciding what their decision is. Like, why do I want to change the name? Why am I contesting this change? If I did not like these children, why am I now arguing that they're not my children? Like, there's no need. That's on one side. Another thing I feel like we should also discuss is the perspective of these children have an opportunity. They have opportunity to bond on a closer note to a man that loves and cares about their mother and about them. And if that is a choice they want to make, they should be allowed to make it. You shouldn't be changing name for a 22-year-old, though, madam. A 22-year-old person is an adult. An 18-year-old is an adult. The only person that you can be even considering would be the 16-year-old. And the 16-year-old is a teenager. A person can decide that I'm not really bothered about this name change you want to do. Then let's go to the culture. Because we live in a country that prioritizes culture. Somebody I know wants to get married, and the father was telling them that, this is not my wedding. I'm your father, but I cannot be the one to marry you. That you are my first daughter, so by virtue of that, the wedding is the village's wedding. Yeah. The wedding must take place in the village. Our elders in the village will write the letter and give a list of what they demand from your husband. I was like, eh?
Yeah.
So it's not culturally, whether she's modern or anything. The point is, she is not the daughter of that man alone. She's the daughter of the family. And she needed to respect, her marriage must respect the family lineage. So if this woman is saying that my bride price was never paid, and culturally, all my children are not your children, you argue with your keypad, go to court and fight it. Customary law is also recognized. So your children are not your children because of your biological donation to their birth. Your children are your children in their culture based on the fact that you have paid the bride price. You don't own her, you don't own anything she gives birth to. So please, go and do the right thing.
In the case where in the Yoruba culture, it is different, which culture now supersedes the other?
It's my culture.
It's the woman's culture.
As a woman,
culture.
Yeah.
The woman.
It's a woman.
It's the
It
woman.
is if they are married, she becomes your culture.
Yes. They are not married. He didn't pay the dowry.
Pay the dowry. You're not
Four children.
4 children.
Just like that.
Why is he even waiting up to this point to say that, why are you changing the name of my children now? What was he doing all the while to take care of these children? Is he saying the woman did not say anything with regards to paying her dowry, doing what is necessary to be...
You see people that are in their 50s going to pay dowry.
I mean...
When they have the money.
Of course, we recall there was a story of a popular actor whose wife died, and they wanted to go and bury her. And they said, no, they did not allow because he did not pay the dowry.
You can't bury her in your village. You
cannot
come back to her. She's our child.
Yes, he couldn't bury her because of that. So it's tricky as it is. We have a phone call on the line. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead with your contribution, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Actually, I would like to start from the first one. Because I've been trying your line ever since.
All right.
Whereby the lady was living with the mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And they had altercation. So what I would just like to say is that if you're a woman, I'm living with your in-laws, you have to accommodate a lot of things. But what you need to do, or you needed to do, is to get your husband on your side. Be patient and try to, For my own case, I'm a Muslim, and I understand, that if you maltreat your wife, if somebody does her and your partner, and you must not maltreat her, they will outline it for you. This is what you do. So even if your siblings are behaving or your mother like this, the sin is upon you, like it's sin upon you if you don't protect her, right?
Right.
So you just have to protect your wife. The best is to live separately. Because there is no way you will live with your in-law that there will be no betrayal. There will be me back on, little things that doesn't even mean anything. And it will lead to disrespect, from your in-laws. Another thing is that when you have your own apartment, what do you do when your in-laws come to visit you or to stay with you?
Yeah.
The wife has to, pay diplomacy, or maturity in handling things. Some in-laws can be troublesome. Although I don't have that in my family, so I'm just lucky. From my mother-in-law, my baby,
Right. Engineer Ibrahim, thank you for your contribution to the first story, bringing the religious aspect to the conversation. Damal, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted, not on this particular
topic,
story.
the second topic, yeah.
Right. So there's a clause in this story about the man asking for access to his children, and the woman denied. When she left in 2019, she took the children away. And we also have to highlight the issue of women actually denying the fathers of their children access just because they want to punish him, they want to hurt him, and then they come out to claim to be the victim. Like, how do you take away access and then you expect him to, you are not discussing anything with him, you're not giving him information on what he needs to pay or what not to pay? Because there's some women that actually play the victim because they are just spiteful, they are bitter. I know there are things that happen in relationships, that can cause you to be bitter towards your baby daddy and all of that. But first of all, you need to consider the health of that child or the health of the children, because they cannot be seeing you doing back and forth bitterness with the man, and then you expect to actually groom,
raise,
emotionally stable children.
Yes, a wholesome child.
Exactly. So, and then this man that she even wants to change her children's names to, they are not even married, though. She said she has found a man that she wants to marry.
So there's uncertainty there.
Yeah, there's also uncertainty. So why don't you even just relax? Calm down. Calm down. See how the marriage goes before you now decide to say that, okay, you want to change your... Because I'm also assuming that this man also has his own children, because for a man to want to marry a mom of 4, there's a possibility that he's also been married, has his own kids before and all of that. So at least, let them settle into, understand them properly. Hopefully it will not be a case whereby one child will not come and say, hey, you're a bastard, you are not a child in our house, you're just using our name. I think there has to be that balance.
Absolutely.
Before she makes that move.
Yeah, I think she's just being emotional at this point.
Exactly.
And she needs to sit down and rethink her decisions, especially because this man has not married her yet. Whatever he's encouraging her, whatever steps she's asking her to take, she needs to have a rethink and just wait to see how things move, and not just be emotional about everything, because these are critical decisions that you are taking that has long-term implications on the children and even herself.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, and she needs to be very careful, because men, when they want to marry you, and they will throw you a lot of things, don't worry, I will adopt your children, I'll do this, I'll do that. So, enter. They will show you pepe.
From this conversation, I'm hearing that love is not enough.
Obviously.
At this point. So for lovers, people that are just dating, I like him, I like her, it doesn't cut it these days. Know the culture of the person you're dating, because these days people are falling pregnant for somebody that is just your boyfriend without getting married to the person. So I'll say that know the culture, right? Even for same ethnic groups, we realize, so for example, some parts of Yoruba say they don't this one to Ijebus, right? And even Igbos also would say that they don't marry from a particular state. Yeah. And you are just going as a young person, just being happy in love and all that. It is now when instances happen, you now begin to question these things. So, for example, now when somebody dies, how is the burial rite going to be? Yeah. So those are questions that we need to ask ourselves, even beyond, I love you, talk your own.
Unfortunately, young persons these days do not like having critical conversations. As it is, to really understand what they are stepping into. They'll tell you, when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. Whatever it is, we'll just walk through it. But it doesn't happen like that, especially where culture is involved, religion is involved. And the parents of these people just be looking at you, okay, go on, just continue. When you now get to that junction, that's how they're saying. And so they now need to begin to have critical conversations to understand what you are getting into so that you know whether you should release your love or hold it back. As it is, no, it's the truth. Except that, okay, you guys can say, we'll pray together, if you are Christians, for instance, and you will walk through, because God is saying we should journey together. And so we'll be ready to take up this responsibility and walk through whatever challenge it is at this point.
I want to go back to the woman. You know, a woman has 4 children for a man that is not, you're not legally married to, you're not traditionally married to. I think women need to become more discerning and decisive. You know? You need to read the room early enough and be discerning enough to say, I'm not doing. I've had one, let me move. You should be decisive to say that I've had 2 children, he's been beating me.
Perhaps she was
this is not
hoping
working.
that...
We are
hoping
hoping for change and hoping somebody will become what you expect
you know,
without any evidence
you know
to
that
it, and you are
there's a
turning out
conversation
children.
at some point that people will say, when I have more children for him, he will look
When I have a male child.
whether male or female, if I have more children for him,
very
he will decide to
dumb
take this
mentality.
step.
That's why we're having this show. This show is supposed to help us help women to become more enlightened, more aware. So women, please be more discerning, be more decisive, read the room early. Don't have 4 children without marriage in any form, not traditional, not white. They haven't paid your bride price. What's the commitment level of your partner to you for you to give 4 children to this person and almost, about 20 years of your life or even 16 years of your life to this person, and then you're changing your mind later? This hoping for change in women has put a lot of women into crisis. Women get beaten. Some women lose their life because they are waiting and hoping the man has changed. They will beg you, you will go back into the marriage. The man will say, don't worry, I'll marry you in the next 3 months. Let me save money. You will go back there and born 2nd child. You go back and born 3rd. Let's make up your mind. Your life is more important. You are more valuable than just being a wife. There is more to a woman than being a wife. And just move on.
We have a caller on the line, Nanli, calling from Abuja. Nanli, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Honestly, I want to first of all appreciate this program.
Thank you very much.
You ladies are wonderful. In fact, I want to refer to this program as marriage clinic.
Thank you.
If people will honestly follow what you are saying and the contributions. I want to briefly say something about the first issue.
Okay.
Honestly, I want to say that men have a lot to do because you are the shield, the protector, the father, the lover, everything of your wife. I had this experience when I first got married. My sisters felt because I'm the only man in the family, in my mother, they felt I should, whatever they wanted to do in the house, they would do it. Without even without even taking directives from my wife. And I said, no, this is my wife. The 2 of us have become one by our Christian intention. She is part of me. And whatever you do in this house, you should regard my wife as part of me. So if you are taking, you're asking for something from me, you should know that you are asking that thing from my wife. Because I'll share it with my wife. So men have a lot to do to protect their wife. Believe you me, sometimes the problem is from the men. You allow your sisters, your parents, your relations to treat your wife as a contract citizen. So,
Nanli, thank you so much for that, your contribution, and for standing up for your wife at the time she needed that help. It's good to hear stories coming from men, not women now, but from men saying it themselves that they had to stand up for their wives, especially with regards to the first story. But back to the second story, taking it up from where Tope stopped, with regards to women making decisions and asserting themselves is very important, because earlier I was mentioning that this decision of the man she decided to have these children for was hers. It was hers. So she needs to have some introspection as it is. Like, what am I not doing right? Why am I being so emotional? Sometimes women get to a certain stage, they feel they are being societal pressure, oh, it's time to get married, it's time to just have babies and, do this and do that. Yes, there's time for all of those things, but you need to understand the right person, that it is important you do these things with the right person, else they have long-term effect on you and the children you will have out of that union. It's important we understand that. When you see a person that you call irresponsible or deadbeat, he showed those signs before you decided to have children for him.
Right.
But you decided you were going to continue on that path. Why? Because you felt you could change him, or because you felt, okay, this is just a temporary thing with a man. Whoever is deadbeat, it takes a lot for the person to even decide that I want to change. He has to understand that I am not doing what is needful of me. I'm not being responsible. I need to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't wait years on to start telling us he is deadbeat, and you had 4 children.
As in,
4 children.
You were there for like 19 years.
How were you taking care of them? He did not support you for the first one. You went ahead to have the second one. It is critical and important for women to begin to decide, read through the lines, assert yourself, know that you have to be responsible for the decisions you make at the end of the day. Yes.
Sure. When you were speaking, I was thinking about what good could have been in this woman. You know, there's a saying that says, whenever you wake up, that's your morning. She may not have had the courage to stand up and leave this marriage in the last at least 22 years, but the moment she realized it, and you know, that's one of the things that a lot of women would stay in situations because they're thinking, what would society say? How can I just leave this man like that after 22 years? But the woman made a good decision. She stood up, and that was her morning, because she was able to now see that life could be better, right? It's better late than never. I do not subscribe to the fact that she had please, for her and all that. But I think that as women, irrespective of the situation that we find ourselves in, the moment we realize that we cannot take this again and it's going to have a long-term effect on us, irrespective of the age, we should please walk away and move on from
Walk away,
such
but don't
situations.
go from frying pan to fire. You have to be careful.
Yes.
That's another aspect. Samuel is calling from Oke-Eda. Samuel, good morning. Go ahead with your contribution. Yes, good morning.
The first topic,
Yes. Hey.
I'm
Wow.
clear topic.
Okay.
That first one, that when I got married in 2005, before I married my wife, we court for 5 years before I got married to her. And after that, gave birth to my fourth child, in female. After 1 year and 3 months, my wife fell ill, serious one. When I saw it, I thought that she wanted to run mad. My family came in. They summoned me for meeting, for me to divorce her. I called my uncle then. I said, if my sister, there's something like this happened to her, what you the family, the husband family did not come to his place, or any of his parents did not come. How do you people feel about it? I said, I know God have ready for me to marry her. God have me to settle that family. I will never go back, except God not wants us to marry. I told my family like that. I said, nobody in my family will separate me and her. And the second issue is this. And today now, the woman is the best in the house. I will not lie to you. I'm very proud of her. She's the best in the house.
That's nice. That's nice.
Sweet.
The second one is that my younger sister, they say tradition. My younger sister married an Igbo man, and he never paid her bride price. The same 4 issue. 4 children, they with her there with her husband. But I forced them to come, the man to come and pay bride price. Why my sister could not carry those children and take them to the another man said that because the husband is not worth doing. For my place, so for my tradition, I'm from Ondo State. My tradition is that I have pay your dowry and not pay your dowry. If you take my child away from me, whatever the consequence you see. That's from Isako. If those children take name to that man, none of them will survive it. None of them will survive it.
Wow.
All those are tradition of a thing. You know that the man doesn't have anything to do it before you marry her.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Wow.
Please, let me just
Thank you.
stick
Thank
to the
you,
culture
Samuel. Yeah.
thing. each culture is different.
Absolutely.
And what you submit to is what rules over you.
Absolutely.
So if I'm married to Edo, but I do not submit to that culture. And yes, we did all the marital rights, so we're legally bound together. But if we didn't do any of the legal rights, whatever that process that happens within the Edo family, that if a woman takes the children away and the children actually die, I've heard that story before, it wouldn't happen to me because I don't submit to that culture. And let me give a practical example of this that my mentor, Mrs. Jumoke Adenowo, gave. She said that there were lots of sacrifices made in Edo Kingdom, in the Benin Kingdom, prior to slavery, because they did not want the white men to come and enslave them.
Yeah.
But the white men, even though if you were an Edo person that entered into the shrine, you would have died. But the white men did not understand why that shrine was important. They went there, they scattered, they took away all the...
Because they did not submit
to that culture. Yeah. So culture is important, and your submission to that culture is important. That's why I said that the woman was going to still align with her culture because that is where she's from. And even though the man is married to a Yoruba person, when we do weddings and you come to marry me, you are going to subject yourself to my culture as a woman. You will not marry me in your Edo way. You marry me in the Yoruba way. So it is extremely important we identify and align ourselves.
I think I'll use the word believe as against
submission.
Yes. Once you believe something, that's what works for you at the end of the day. But he mentioned something about he intervening with regards to his sister's situation. I'm wondering, for this lady, her family, what did they say? Where were they? What were they saying with regards to this matter? Or did she just cut them off and say, this is my life,
or maybe they've given up on her. Maybe they have complained and complained.
All of that.
Don't burn. You they burn for.
Comments, yes, we have
on
YouTube.
Okay.
Yes, so Aunt Nam says she has 4 years with the first man she was in love with. All of a sudden, wants to jump on another man and change the identity of her children to the new man. Right? Benedicta says, I wonder, I've been wondering which one is, okay, American braids, they were referring to your hair.
Oh, wow.
Then she also goes on to say she just found another mugu that will take responsibility for her children. Oh my goodness, my mom is watching. Oh.
Hello, Mom.
So she says, when you wake up is your morning, good one. My mom is tech savvy now. So Benedicta Adeiton says, also some people blame culture for not being able to afford paying dowry. Just make it easy for people. Don't use traditional marriage process as an excuse to go through the impregnation route.
Yes, you know that from where she's from, people have talked about the demands, how expensive it is to, you know, when they are asking for bring this, bring that for.
If you know you cannot afford it, why are you going into it in the first place?
Well,
At least when you meet a babe, you ask her, where are you from? Once they tell you I'm from this place, this place, this place, love, go and hustle and bring the money.
Love is blind.
Go and bring the money.
But
My own love can
it
see.
is, I think right now she needs to calm down and ensure that she's taking the right decision, not just for herself or her children, because it might come back to haunt her at the end of the day. This is where we'll wrap things up.